December 14th, 2001, Friday. It's 2 p.m. and I'm in booth at work. I've been here since 12:30. Still dreaming of Marilyn and thinking about Marilyn. I have to say that the last time I was with Marilyn, the night of the Linkin Park concert, see entry on November 27, 2001, was, or so I feel, one of the greatest nights we spent together. Here recently, at the least. And I feel it's necessary to say that it wasn't just the sex. We treated each other real nice all night, and it felt great to be close to her again, as if it meant something still. I do feel in some way, however, that it's possible that that evening was some sort of test. A test to see if we still had passion for each other, but along with that, it could have been something devious on her part. Seeing if I'd touch her, perhaps thinking that if I did give in, it only proved that I want her only for that. I do doubt the latter, however, but you never know. I have one true concern about tonight, the overall outcome. Usually when a night is so anticipated as tonight is to me, either A, it won't live up to what I've built up in my head, or B, will be completely disastrous, as many nights have been before. Quote, does anybody really know what time it is? End quote. Sorry, I'm just listening to Chicago's Greatest Hits album. I was going around a little earlier, changing the schedules on the sides of all the projectors, when I noticed, luckily, that in theater number 2, I'd accidentally started Black Knight instead of Monsters Incorporated. There were 2 old people down in the theater, and I mentioned to them that I was sorry and to hold on. It took me about 2 minutes to de-thread Black Knight and thread Monsters Incorporated. The thing being that they had to sit through another 15 minutes of previews. While doing this, Mr. Flynn radioed to me asking me to come downstairs when I had a chance. I got downstairs a few minutes later, and that old guy from Theater 2 was complaining about all the previews. He didn't get that I started the wrong show even when I told him that. I told Flynn what happened, and he tried to explain it to the old man. That, thank God, was not the reason Flynn asked me to come downstairs. Apparently what he wanted to know was if I'd work a double tonight. I said, hell no. Not really, but I did say no. It turns out Jennifario called in and quit. She can't come in tonight and can't give 2 weeks. I guess her family is having some problems. I don't know. 8 p.m. Waiting to hear from Tim, who is waiting to hear from Will. Derek is busy until 8:30 p.m., so we won't be able to head down to KU until about 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. I called Marilyn on the way home from work. She sounded good, except that she is sick and I guess has some sort of rash. I'll be able to see her tomorrow night, but we're going to wait until next week sometime to watch my Linkin Park DVD. She wants to watch it during the day so she can escape from her mom for a little while. I really hate wanting to write, but having nothing to write. Nothing to say. Right now it is actually 2 a.m., Sunday morning. I have neglected or not had time to write. So much has happened, so I'm going back and making up those entries that I missed. All of us met down at Will's and made our way to KU, getting there between 9:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. Tom caught up to us, and Erilyn also. There was so much alcohol, you wouldn't believe it, and only 4 people drinking. Will and Tim mainly, Derek and Erilyn a bit too. Tom and I were in our own world, discussing the usual stuff and laughing at all the drunks and so on. Erilyn and I didn't talk much at all for the first hour or so of being there. She talked with Will and laughed with Tim, and I began to feel a little jealous. Perhaps I made up what Erilyn and I had too much. Then came midnight, and a new day. It is now technically Saturday, around 2 a.m. Tim went to the bathroom to throw up, and Erilyn started to feel sick. We laid her down on Derek's bed, then Derek laid down, and then Will. Tom left, then Tim came back and passed out. And I was alone and, for some reason, really depressed. I stared out the window thinking and thinking, recalling all of the glances Erilyn gave me and tried to understand what, if anything, she was trying to tell me. I wrote a really depressing poem and kept noticing Erilyn looking at me. I looked back and smiled. The poem was called Nothing. Derek drunkenly came up with the title. For about 20 minutes, I was all by myself listening to music, and then came the thud that would change my night. The thud was Erilyn trying to walk out of the room. She was drunk and stumbling. I became concerned, naturally, and went after her. It was obvious she was going to be sick. I held her and walked her to the men's restroom and stood outside listening to her puke. I went back to Derek's room and got her a glass of water and gave it to her. She puked more, and I went and got her sandals. After about 15 minutes, she was good enough, kind of, to walk. I helped her down to her room and sat her down on her roommate's bed. They had bunk beds, and Erilyn's was on top. I figured it wasn't a good idea for her to sleep up there. I sat her down and she grabbed me and just held me and didn't want me to leave. She said she wasn't going to be sick anymore, but she soon threw up in the trash can. It was all oddly romantic, like that scene in Almost Famous where William is watching them pump Penny's stomach with love in his eyes. She asked me why I was being so nice, and I told her it's because she deserves to be treated good. You are a sweet person and need someone to be sweet to you. I'm so sorry. Don't be, I said. I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to. She hugged me tight, and I lied down with her on the bed, me keeping both feet on the floor. It was now about 3 a.m. We lied there for so long, just holding one another, squeezing and hugging. She asked me all about myself, and I told her everything. She asked me about my old girlfriend, and I told her everything. What about you? I asked. I dated a guy over the summer, but he didn't treat me good. He would hit me. I couldn't believe what she was saying to me. She had literally been hurt and been alone for a long time. I feel content lying with you, she told me. I feel so great holding you. And this is how it went. It was so amazing. She began to feel a lot better, so we made sure to keep the other one awake. We would tickle and hug and touch and kiss each other's arms and shoulders. About 4 a.m., one foot was on the bed. I ran back to Derek's to check on the guys. They were all comfortably numb and or passed out, so I returned to Erilyn. I lied back down with her, talking more, learning about one another, enjoying one another, being very close and feeling so secure in each other's arms. We agreed that after that night, we play things the way they came and try not to feel obligated because of it. About 5 a.m., both feet were on the bed and my overshirt was off along with my shoes. In the movies, they talk about those nights spent talking to one another until the sun came up. Well, it truly happens, not only in movies. We were so uninhibited and carefree. We didn't hold back. We weren't nervous. We just did what we wanted and said what we wanted. The only thing being that we both knew that the night was going to end. The sun was coming up. We touched more and rubbed more and became more sexual, but it was still pure, sweet, about passion and pleasure, and felt good. What do you want? I would ask. I don't know, she would answer, and vice versa. We both wanted the other to answer, but neither of us wanted to say anything. We wanted the other to give options, but again, we both didn't want to say anything. In a way, it could have ruined the night. I wanted so much to be more intimate with her, but on the same note, nothing could have made the night any better. Sex and other things like that could have only made it worse. The night was already incredible. Around 7 a.m., we kissed on the lips for the first time. I thought about how hours before she was sick, puking, and now I was kissing her, but I didn't care. We touched, kissed each other's necks and eyes. She kissed my eyelids. Marilyn would do that, and it was my favorite thing. Erilyn kissed my eyelids, and I didn't even ask her to. That's my favorite thing, I said. Mine too, she replied. And that was the night. In a sense, it was 6+ hours of sweet, intimate, and amazing foreplay that meant so much for what it was. It was, without a doubt, the greatest night I've had in a while and runs in the top 5 of the greatest days ever. I don't want this to end, she said. We kissed one last time, and I said goodbye at 8:45 a.m. I told her not to forget me. I know she won't, and likewise to her. While I was waiting on the elevator, Will called from upstairs. Crazy how we all decided to get up basically at the same time. We all piled into the truck about 9 a.m. and got back to LX at 9:30 a.m. and to sleep I went, dreaming about and remembering one of the greatest nights of my life. End quote. A long night lies ahead, a cold December night, to be kept warm with the passion of a gal with orange eyes. Brett Allen Coker, poem, Clockwork Peoples.